Welcome to Visionary AI Partners. I'm your host, Ed Moran. Today, I'm joined by Maz Hedayat, Esquire, founder of M. Hedayat and Associates in Illinois, with over 30 years of experience in law, real estate, and business. Maz has built a reputation of blending legal expertise with forward thinking innovation. We'll be talking about how technology and especially AI is transforming the way attorneys and real estate professionals work. Maz, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ed. You know what? For ease, just call me Maz. It's an
Maz?
easier way. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, you're right. I've been a lawyer for a little over 30 years. I work in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, so, but we go everywhere. We're primarily litigators, so we're primarily in court. But obviously, we do other things. Um, about 3 years ago, I think I was appointed to the Select Committee on AI for the State Bar Association.
Excellent.
I suspect part of the reason they did that is because I have actually been involved in bringing technology into the law, incorporating technology into the law, well, my whole career. I remember when judges would not allow briefs to contain hyperlinks. You couldn't hyperlink to a case or an opinion or anything for a
Really?
brief. You know why? Because
Why?
the judge had said, that's malicious. If you click that link, it pollutes my system, none of which is true. They simply didn't understand, the
What it
concept of the
was about
hyperlink and where it goes.
and what it
So,
did.
yeah. So, I mean, imagine it took these guys, I want to say a couple of years to digest that. And to name just a couple, you have, the incorporation of hyperlinks, e-discovery, all kinds of innovations in the law that really amount to dancing around the same theme. I say that because AI is completely different.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. AI literally, it doesn't think, obviously. The application doesn't think, but it does a damn good imitation of a fully conscious person. And at the same time, so we all know that AI is incorporated into virtually every piece of software. And if you didn't know it, believe me, the software manufacturer will tell you, hey, now with AI. So it's an excuse for them to upcharge you. Now with AI, costs 30% more.
Absolutely.
So the fact is, I mean, look, they're merchants. These people are in the business selling stuff to lawyers. So the Westlaws, the Lexus, the entrepreneurs, and by the way, I used to be one of those entrepreneurs. Back in the late 90s, right around the turn of the millennium, I had an interactive website I had built that, I mean, essentially like Clio. But this was in 2000, 2000. The market wasn't ready. So my business kind of, and we were, picked up by the ABA Journal, and we displayed at their show, but the timing wasn't right. So now that people have come around, and this is ultimately, I think, why I was put on the AI committee, because I have been in the trenches on these subjects for the whole time. I've lectured to a room full of lawyers, accountants, judges, just talking about this subject. And I cannot guarantee you that any of them, sorry, that was a little long for an introduction. There you go.
No, that's actually we're going to hit on some of those topics you just talked about. I'd love to talk to you more about because you guys really you in the Chicago area have really been. You have tell us about your innovative approach to your legal practice and how AI has become a part of your firm's strategy.
Wow. I don't know if I do anything innovative. I just do stuff that works. So, for instance, and I'm okay, I can tell you this. At this late date, after all these years practicing, I'm happy to say I have a team that works. Okay? I have total confidence in them. And in the process, we've automated client intake and then certain recurring activities that take place with every client. So I'm talking about the intake letter, the intake agreement, or rather client agreement. Every step of that process is pushed along by AI. Now, here's the tricky part, and I mean this. Nobody will tell you, if you're a lawyer and you're wondering about AI applications, nobody will tell you that AI is not the same as automation. Okay? Sounds ridiculous, what I just said. Let's break it down. Artificial intelligence is generally a large language model filtered through a transformer. That's the T in GPT, ChatGPT. Okay, so when you do that, like I said, you're going to get a human-like response. But also, AI is available to assist you with moving things along. But that already existed. That's what I want to point out. Moving things along already existed. Automation already existed. Okay, so when people say, I don't know, whenever I get a phone call, we automatically get a pop-up and somebody answers the phone. That's not AI, okay? That's automation. If this, then that.
That's been around for a while.
Yeah, of course. It's been around since, well, practically since I became a lawyer. So what is AI then? If automation isn't AI, well, what is AI to us lawyers? The answer comes when you start interacting with your AI application. So, to begin with, well, like everybody else, we started out using ChatGPT. And that simply helps you either get started on what you're writing or firm up what you're writing or grab information, which of course you have to check the validity, hallucinations, and so on. And, that, so having a GPT, a transformer, put out a legal brief, which you could do. If you prompt ChatGPT well enough, and that's the trick.
It's the key.
At one point, not so long ago, like a year ago, prompters, people who could write good prompts, were being paid around $300,000 a year. That's a pretty good salary for someone who's just typing words into a box. Okay, you know why? Because ChatGPT is the smartest of your dumb kids. Okay? It can learn, it can do stuff right, but you have to tell it how to do stuff right. Okay, so in that sense, AI is there. You can interact with AI as if it's another consciousness. You can do it. It's like talking to another lawyer. Frankly, AI is better equipped. It knows everything about everything, and it's filtered through that large language model. And the way that works with our practice is almost too frequent to mention. Every step, as I said, intake is automated, but that's automation. Once the matter is in our office, there are certain milestones. When it gets to this, do this. When it gets to that, do that. That's all automation. AI kind of helps it along. The real interesting thing about automation are agents, or what's being referred to as agentic AI. Okay, so what are AI? Or if you already know what AI agents are, I don't have to talk about them. But
No,
do we know what AI?
Please do it.
Well, look, like I said, you can treat an AI like another person. An AI agent is sort of doing human stuff, sort of stuff you'd have your intern or your clerk do. Hey, look this up, and I've done all this. You say, hey, look, you can tell ChatGPT it's got to have certain features attached and upgrades, but you can have ChatGPT find you the best price on a ticket from Chicago to Florida, and you can have it make the reservation, communicate with Travelocity or whatever you have. Sabre used to be the industry-wide program for making plane reservations, and we don't think about that as a big deal. It's just, hey, I want to do this. You could have done it yourself, okay? But in fact, the AI is acting like your agent, your employee. You say, hey, make a reservation. I want to do this. Get me in to that restaurant at 9 o'clock. Okay, make a reservation at 9. It'll do it if it's an AI agent. Now, here's the thing about all these developments. First of all, they're happening constantly. Look, it sounds like an exaggeration, but we could talk about the state of AI today, come back in a week, and it would be different.
Yes,
Okay?
it's
It would.
moving. I have new products dropping it weekly.
Right,
It's amazing.
exactly. So what's really interesting about that is that the advent of these really remarkable programs and abilities have more than anything have given rise to a class of analysts, pundits, people who understand that the technology is important. But not all these companies offer the user any value. But like I said, you add the phrase AI to any product, and you can usually upsell it for 30% more at least. So there's agentic AI, which is similar to automation. That's AI sort of doing the same things you could have done 30 years ago with a program called Hot Docs. I doubt anyone even
Interesting.
remembers Hot Docs, but that's all it was. It was a very good decision tree.
So, can you tell me, like you said, as you're well using it for your different functions in your office, is there
Mhm.
one thing that you haven't been able to implement it for that you wish you could do it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I can't think of anything that I would want it to do that it's not doing now. My concern is that, and this across the board, my concern is AI doesn't always live up to the hype. Might have heard through media or something that AI is incorporated into this and does this. I don't know if I mentioned this, but yeah, I did. I'm on the state AI committee. So I'm always looking at articles, legislation, products, things like that. It's a bit of a jumble. So even if you try to narrow your field, like I said, you could be perfectly set up on Friday, and the following Friday, there's a new element added. Now, like anything else, like electronic research, when it came, yes, I'm old enough that I remember when electronic research became popular. I used to do it, yeah, with
I'm not going to comment on that one,
yeah.
Maz.
I used to read it on. I used to look things up on shepherds. Now people are like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Anyway, so I remember when the automated research came out, electronic research, and everybody was afraid of it for whatever reason, unfamiliarity. But once they understood it, it became an absolute necessity in their workflow. That's what's going to happen with AI. Right now, the capabilities of AI are kind of jumping around. And for all we know, some of the things that we count on AI to do now, it may not do in a month because they've decided it's not important enough. But for an attorney, the best way to use AI, in my opinion, first, obviously, you have software that incorporates AI. That's useful because that means the software is going to take steps, and all you have to do is sort of get the ball rolling, which is what a prompt is. Do this, and it'll do it. So that's where it is now, and if that's all you want to do, that's fine. If you want to go, a little further with that, you can use AI in your legal research. You use AI in your court schedule. You can use AI in writing. It's in everything we use, even
I
if
was
it's
going
not.
to ask you that. That was actually one of my questions. Has AI enhanced the efficiency of legal research and document drafting within your firm?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like it's night and day. Again, I point to the advent of electronic research. Nobody blinked an eye when you'd have to spend 4 hours in the library researching a single point. Now, well, once there was electronic research, you cut that time in half, maybe 2 hours. Now there's AI. The AI does the thinking on the subject, finds you case law that proves your point, which is what you want. Find case law that supports my position, find case law that defeats the opponent's position. AI can do that. It's not another person, might as well be.
And what's the
Probably get more
timeline
work
on
done
that?
than your court does. So, yeah, these are realities, and it's just every day you're going to see more and more applications come out like that. And then, like anything else, there will be people who object. And lawyers are professional pessimists. That's our job.
Yeah.
The first things I read about AI were as follows: hallucinations, lawyers get sanctioned. What? That's what it's about? Anyway, so no, if you know how to use the application, which is to say, common sense, for one thing. I hear this all, obviously, everybody hears this all the time. Oh, don't put confidential information into ChatGPT. Really? You needed someone to tell you that? Okay. ChatGPT, and by the way, I use them all. I use ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Claude, Perplexity. I use them all. Oh, Grok, but that in itself is not enough to get you where you want to go. But it'll certainly get you faster. And then you just take the input, and of course you have to use common sense. Of course you don't put in confidential information. Are you out of your mind? Why would you do that? This reminds me, way back in the beginning when the internet kind of came around, people would write things that they normally don't want to show anybody, but it was on the internet. And literally, those people said, "Hey, that's private." What do you mean it's private? It's on the internet. Okay? Use common sense. When you're working with an AI application, you don't have to give it the name of your client. You don't have to describe your client, Why would you do that? You're just trying to get a discrete answer to a discrete situation or piece of information. So, like I said, in any way that you could interact with an associate or clerk, you can interact with AI. You can ask it questions.
You're answering all my questions before I ask them.
Sorry.
Are you sure? Are you sure you didn't use AI for that? This is
Right
what
now.
he's going to ask you.
I tell you what, though. Well, first of all, I did use AI for this, but you're asking the questions that a lot of people are asking.
Yes.
Okay. So I know that this is what people want to know. Is it safe? How do I use it? Will it help me? I guarantee you it's going to make whatever you do more efficient, whatever it is. So if all you wanted to do was use the basics of AI, you could take, I generally work about 10 hours a day at the office. I think that's common. When things are busy, I'm working 6-7 days a week. Again, it's not uncommon. But if you're using AI, even at a very basic level, you can usually buy back an hour a day or an hour or two a day. And that makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Right.
What you're saying, like e-discovery, data analysis, you're really implementing all that to save you time, essentially, getting
Yeah.
the same task done, but in a shorter period of time.
Oh, yeah. Research is obviously, as lawyers, that's where our mind goes first. Can it help me do research? And it can. In fact, it might be too easy because people who are not trained, who are not lawyers, and you know this as well as I do, what do? Hey, I drafted this pleading myself and went to court against my neighbor. Who drafted it for you? ChatGPT. Okay? Is it a legit complaint? I don't know. But ChatGPT enabled that person to throw something into court. And this is what I'm getting at is what's been termed in the industry AI slop. Now, have you heard that term, AI slop?
I have not actually. Can you
All right, well, exactly
go
what you think
into
it means.
that a little bit? I'd appreciate it.
Sure. No, AI slop just refers to, it refers to a couple of things. First of all, you could do some really interesting and weird things with AI. Okay, but that's different. But yeah, for amusement and so on, and you could create AI. The rendering of the Pope with a puffy white jacket. Remember that? That's one of the iconic early images. It's AI slop. Okay, AI is not being used to create a work of art or whatever. It's just like, hey, what would the Pope look like with a puffy white jacket? There's that. So that kind of amusement garbage. But then also, if you were to follow AI without editing, you would get a lot of surplusage. It's
Yes.
just because AI is now
You
so
have to
cheap.
fine tune.
Exactly. It's so cheap. It's so pervasive. The problem is, like I said, the non-lawyer litigant might get himself in trouble. He doesn't know that because he's not a lawyer. But ChatGPT doesn't care. They're like, yeah, you want a complaint? There it is. So the widespread use of AI is going to bring potential issues. On the committee, we examine legislation all the time. Because we're in Illinois, it's Illinois legislation. Occasionally it'll be something federal, but it's mostly state-based. The concern there is, and again, this is the same thing that happened with hyperlinks and the internet. The concern is that legislators just essentially pile on the technology. I mean, legislators are not known for being technologically savvy.
No.
Yeah. And so most of the proposed legislation I see is about restricting AI. I mean, okay, we're lawyers, I get it, but I mean, it's going to do what it's going to do. You got to let it.
It's here to stay. Did I ask you this already? If you could solve one issue, what would it be?
Yeah, no, you asked that. I'm not sure I really gave you a good question. Good answer.
But I'm getting a lot of other good answers from you, so it's all working out.
That's right. Witness the legal mind at work. If there's one thing I'd like AI to be able to do is I want it to be more agentic. I want it to be easier to do a little sidebar and say, hey, by the way, what time what time is so-and-so going to get here because he's coming by plane, okay? The AI, you'd say they're coming from Phoenix. They're on Southwest Airlines. AI goes in, finds out what the predicted landing time is, and if you want, it can keep you updated. Okay, the plane is on the tarmac. The plane is pulling up to the gate. Now, is that automation? Is that artificial intelligence? Maybe it's a little of both. I mean, AI can only do what it does with information. The point of so-called agentic AI, I can tell you this, the point of agentic AI is simply AI made practical. Okay? In the beginning, obviously, I mean, AI was developed in laboratories and, OpenAI, the company, and before that it was at universities. Those people can afford to, argue about how many angels dance on the head of a pin. But we want AI to do practical things. Again, making your airline reservations, checking on the restaurant situation. Call my wife and tell her I'm going to be home a half hour late. Anything you can have your secretary do, certainly AI can do. ChatGPT can do. So if you said, what would you like AI to do? Or, what does it do now that you like? What would you like it to do? I want it to be more agentic. More and more like this. How? I don't know. Something about getting to know me better. If I say I'd like a price shirts for me. If it's AI, it's going to know what kind of shirts you like, patterns, where you buy it from, things like that. If you give it the information. Like I said, there are add-ons that you can attach to ChatGPT that do all these various things. The point of AI, though, is it can essentially make reasonable predictions. And while he's gotten these kind of shirts before, let's look for a shirt that resembles it. Okay.
I think I want to add that to my repertoire too. Know the shirts I want and
well, no, okay, but you have to give it. No, don't get me wrong. You have to give it the information. You have to say, okay, in the last 12 months, I bought 4 office shirts. They're from this manufacturer. They look like this. Whatever. You're giving it basic information about
this is the size.
Yeah, this is the size. But it's ironic. But if you wanted to go to one place that probably already has all that information, it's probably Facebook, because people just throw their whole lives onto Facebook, including confidential information. I mean, stuff about you wouldn't tell anybody. You know why? It was private. No, it's on the internet.
You,
not
you
private.
know how many people have lost their jobs because they're supposed to be doing whatever and they're like on a roller coaster posting it on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Facebook is definitely a job killer. These days, people are worried about AI doing their job.
Yeah.
And this was the first time. Look, I've been around, you've been around enough to see recession after recession. There
Yeah.
was you know, and jobs and so on. That's nothing compared to what an intelligent AI could do. Is it going to take everybody's job? No, of course not. But there will be some basic functions that the AI will develop to do, and it takes the place of having a human employee or a human companion. Not for everything, okay? AI is not going to live your life for you, but it's certainly capable of interacting with you and getting information the way a good associate or paralegal would do.
And it's getting better every day.
Yeah, it radically. It is radically changing every day.
Remember when the internet was first coming out and you were talking about AOL and stuff
Sure.
like that. Look how many years that took to like get better and better and more, you could store more stuff and then the cell phones, and now we got in the palm of our hands what they use to go to the moon.
That's right.
How do you feel like AI is gonna way surpass that? What do you
Yeah.
think
And
about that?
okay.
Or comparably?
Well, what you have to understand, I mean this sincerely, it sounds like a science fiction, but nothing is science fiction anymore. Eventually, and not too long from now, AIs will be improving AIs. One version of an AI will evaluate another version and find its problems and develop a new, because AI is great at coding, develop a new piece of AI software that's smarter than it is. Yeah. And once AIs
Amazing.
start, yeah, and
Amazing.
that's going to happen. We're not there yet. So for the moment, we just have to use, I mean, we use what we have.
What do you think, Maz? You think it'll be able to show up? You get put it in a robot and it could show up to court for you?
There was a company that wanted to use AI in order to help you win in court, but it wasn't a full fledged robot. No, but eventually that'll happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. The Chinese are going crazy with robots. We're
Yeah. I
behind
was
the,
just
we're
gonna
behind the
say.
curve there. All you got to do is, and they have some kind of facility, some kind of genius when it comes to AI. All I hear on the news is OpenAI did this and it cost $100 million. DeepSeek in China did the same thing, cost $1 million, took half the time. Weird, but eventually, if AI gets sharp enough, and like I said, China's doing a good job, but the U.S. is still in the lead, kind of barely. Yeah, you're going to develop a fully functional cognitive style robot. It's not really a human substitute until it's self-aware. Okay, there's no AI that is aware of itself, and that means an AI cannot exercise judgment in the way we usually think of it, in the way lawyers usually have to do. We're hearing about very intimate details about people's lives. We have to take what we know, so AI it
That
knows at least as much as I do.
those suicide cases.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. ChatGPT kind of started going down a rabbit hole and started talking someone into suicide.
The good thing is we could fix that and get better. So,
Yeah.
but that was definitely not a highlight of AI.
No, but it's inevitable.
But
There are
yeah,
always horror
it
stories.
was gonna, there's always gonna be good and bad, and the big thing is to have a lot more good from something coming about. Would you agree?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's right. What you're getting at is you'll never be able to iterate away or develop away the downside of any technology. That danger is always going to be there. You could say the initial job of legislators and lawyers is to figure out how AI can go wrong and constrict it so it doesn't do that, so it doesn't go off and hallucinate, so it doesn't use your credentials and send a nasty letter to opposing counsel. Not that that could happen, but some people might set up their their automation wrong and end up sending a letter to opposing counsel saying get bent. But that's the danger. If anyone is qualified to constrict AI, it's got to be legislators and lawyers.
With people like you that are very aware of its capabilities, making those help making those laws and
Right.
adaptation.
And in fact, that's what happens. The legislature, we have a legislative liaison at the State Bar Association. Her job is to grab legislation on the subject and toss it to committee. And we all do this. I'm on the real estate committee out here in my county. We approved the real estate contract that people are going to use throughout the county. Okay, so being on a committee, you're assumed to be someone in the know, and then someone like a legislator or a think tank or whatever will come and seek your opinion, and that's when you have to get really into what they're talking about. Unfortunately, the legislation surrounding AI is just kind of hysterical. Like I said, you can't do this, you can't do that. AI will take all your jobs and leave everybody dead.
That's not true.
Calm down. All right. This is a tool. It's a useful tool. Maybe switch to decaf.
How do you see AI taking your business? Because you already have said it has saved time for you in a number of different areas. But in like the next 6 to 12 months, where do you hope by using that technology it can take your business?
In 6 to 12 months, it's going to improve things in a lot of ways. I mentioned earlier about how the intake process is relatively automated, and that's mostly automation. But then, once the matter's in our office, we keep track of deadlines. We are constantly talking to each other, I mean, either literally or virtually. And that's where AI can come in. Hey, what's missing here? There's agentic AI in our office management software. You can tell it, you can prompt it, program it, okay, to be an agent. And in fact, I do this every morning. Every morning when I come to the office, it says, hey, here's what everyone did yesterday. And I can say, all right, I want to know what she did. And it can go into detail about what she did. Give me a copy of that brief she was working on. Produces the brief. That's agentic AI. That's AI doing something useful.
How many employees do you have?
At the moment, 5. We had a 6th, but he moved on.
How many lawyers?
No, I'm the only lawyer at the moment. Like I said, there was another guy. He was about to get his bar, and he decided he wanted to go into patent. He took the patent bar because that's kind of separate. So he decided he wanted to go in that direction.
Oh.
But no, we have a very tight team. And honestly, the way to think about that is like you're putting together a car, and if the car is well put together and the engine is tuned, it can go really fast. Okay? But that also means the tolerance level is coming down. Okay? Can't make too many mistakes. You can't have someone who doesn't do their job, who doesn't perform on time, whatever. That means AI, in the course of doing our work, I can have AI, again, agentic, as an agent, go out and query everybody's status and say, okay, she's working on a brief, he's doing research, this guy's doing this, I tell you what, that's invaluable. I literally cannot tell you how valuable it is and how much it puts my mind at ease to know that I have a team operating at a high level, and I'm really proud of them. You probably said that already, but I really am. They've done a good job.
No, I love that. That's really supporting your team, but you expect a lot, and you're
Right.
getting it.
Right.
But when you do get it, you're giving that praise back.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I don't praise people just because it's polite or something. These people are really talented, and to them, AI is an extension of what they already do. Like I said, if you find information, you can find it faster. If you want to make appointments, you can make it faster, all up and down the line. And by the way, I think the way AI has been being incorporated, at least into the kind of the A category of products in every division, like my practice management software, it has an AI component that is an active, independent AI. What would you like me to do? Tell me how this case is going. They'll tell you. They'll come back and say, well, last Thursday, so-and-so went to court and the judge said, and then, okay, thanks. Now, is that a huge deal? I suppose I could have looked it up. The fact that it happens faster, and once you really get good at it, you can make something like that happen again and again and again. That's where you get the time savings. That's where you get and you ask ultimately, what will AI do for us in a year? I can tell you right now, even now, AI allows, we're a small firm, right? I'm the only lawyer. I have employees. I can compete with any law firm anywhere. Not much else to say, because I have the same research capabilities. I have the same drafting capabilities. I can do anything a much bigger firm can do.
Bingo.
And I proved it by beating them in court. And so ultimately, what's the use of AI? That's up to you as a lawyer. What AI can do for you depends on what you ask it to do. But come in assuming that its capabilities are limitless and find out what the limits really are.
That has been a plethora of incredible information. Thanks for tuning in to Visionary AI Partners. A big thank you to Maz for sharing his insights on how AI is reshaping the legal and real estate industries. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, like, and share the podcast. It really helps us grow and reach more visionary listeners like you. Until next time, stay visionary.